Thank you very much, colleagues. My name is Love Mochinoputa. I'm the Youth Secretary General of the MDCT, as led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa. So without wasting much of your time, colleagues, I'll go through our statement. This is a joint youth statement by the Joint Youth Liaison Committee. We, the leaders and the representatives of youth political party wings, in the representation of our political party formations, which include ZANU-PF, MDCT, MDC, ZAPU, TZ and NPP, converged from the 24th to the 25th of April in Harare in a dialogue process united in our diversity by our common desire for freedom, justice and equality, and our heroic resistance to colonialism, racism and all forms of domination and oppression. The dialogue that I'm talking about accorded us an opportunity as youth political leaders to make critical reflections on our country's history, acknowledging and appreciating the different periods that we have had to undergo as a nation. We appreciated the good, acknowledged the not so good moments, and in this collaborative and experiential process, we realized that there is more that unites us than divides us as youth, despite our differing political ideologies and formations. So fully attached to the virtues and values of the Zimbabwean Constitution, and in appreciation of the many problems that we have faced as a country, and representing the dynamic, resourceful and resilient youth in Zimbabwe, who make up 67.7% of the population in Zimbabwe, yet remain marginalized and without voice of a national development process, we noted with concern the vulnerabilities and situation of the Zimbabwean youth, many of whom we have had their realities shaped by the social, political and economic trajectories that our country has undergone, with some manifestations in the form of unemployment, exposure to violence, including gender and political violence, the various forms of discrimination and manipulation, the restricted access to social services, as well as limited participation in decision-making and public office. We therefore resolved to form what we have termed the Joint Youth Liaison Committee, following the successful dialogue process that we talked about that ran from the 24th of April to the 24th to the 25th of April, which then gave impetus to the need for us to create a shared space for youth political leaders to share and exchange notes on issues of peace and development. We have also noted that beyond this space, as youth political parties, we are committing ourselves to be ambassadors of peace. That is, we are going to work towards shunning and condemning violence in any form, as we create and envision Zimbabwe that we all aspire for as youth, that is devoid of violence, devoid of hate speech and polarization. Our commitment to this transcends beyond the elections which the country is headed towards, as we believe that dialogue is critical in defining and shaping the Zimbabwe that we all envision. Lastly, as youth political leaders, we acknowledge the increasing call and recognition of youth as agents of change and as torchbearers in national development, and the need to equip and mobilize the demographic dividend of Zimbabwe to drive the development agenda at the local, national, regional and international levels. Jointly, we therefore commit to cherish our freedoms, equality, peace, justice, tolerance, prosperity and patriotism in search of new frontiers under a common destiny as defined by our national constitution. I want to thank you, colleagues. This is our maiden statement to members of the press. But before we proceed to question and answer segment, I would want to also ask colleagues from the different political parties here to just give a word in support of this statement. Like I've said before, we are coming together as young people. We have noted that there is more that unites us than divides us as young people. And therefore, this is a call by young people to say, we will not be limited in our scope of doing things. We will not be limited in our endeavor to ensure that there's economic development in this country and there's a peaceful election in this country, and even beyond the elections. So we've been joined by the president of the MDC Youth Assembly, led by Professor Washman Ngube, who is none other than Gideon Mandaza. So in the same spirit, I'll also give him space to also talk to the media in just a space of a minute in support of this joint statement that we've come up with. Colleagues, I think it's your time to...
As NPP, led by our capable leader, Dr. Joyce Teorai. We are full support of the statement, and concerning the upcoming elections, we are also in support of free and fair elections, no violence, and we are asking the people in charge of the police and soldiers to take full right to everyone who participate in violence. And also we have a common thing as youth. We want freedom. We want to be recognized in this high office. We want to sit in these decision-making bodies so that we clearly articulate our issues and problems that we are facing as the youth. So we are fully behind NAYO, and we are fully behind all these political parties that are here. We are in support of this statement, and we are saying we are the leaders of today, not the leaders of tomorrow. We have to be there in everything that is being done in this country. We thank you as NPP, and we are there, and we will support this thing until the end.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Tawanda Kalonga. I'm the youth chairperson for Transform Zimbabwe. As Transform Zimbabwe Youth Assembly, we are happy that we have come to this conclusion as young people in this country. We are coming from a youthful party. Transform Zimbabwe comes from the church. We are from the church, and we believe 80% people of the nation are Christians, and the Christian promotes peace, promotes dialogue. So we are coming from a young outfit that promotes peace and dialogue, and we urge all the young people out there, whenever they are doing their things, to promote dialogue, whenever they are doing their things, to promote peace during elections and after elections and before elections. So we are saying to all the young people, it's time for us. We are leaders for today. Let's take all those leadership positions. We need to show the country. We need to have new culture of politics, new culture of doing things as young people. Let's do it. Let's promote dialogue, and let's promote peace. Thank you.
I'm Fungai Mpangwe, the Zapu National Youth Organizing Secretary. I support all my colleagues said in terms of peace, unity, zero tolerance to any forms of violence in the upcoming elections. We as youth, we agreed that we are going to have some of the joint meetings, as my colleagues said, and we as Zapu Youth, we support every space in terms of unity and everything. And in the National Youth Assembly of Zapu, we do mobilize for unity, and we respect our elders, what they did, and we respect everyone in this country. So we say zero tolerance to the youth. We thank you very much to the NAYO and UNDP who gave us as the youth the space to re-engagement and to work together towards these harmonized elections.
Yeah, my name is Ubi Marango, and I'm representing MDCT, led by Dr. Zanukupe, Doctor. I think we are, as youths, we are the game changers, and we need to have a youth engagement plan that actually united in our diversity for the love of our country we need to achieve. And indeed, it has been long overdue that the youths were used as toolkits, actually to beat each other and in any forms of violence. But today we stand together as youth of Zimbabwe under the ban of NAYO and speaking about the need to resolve our problems together. We are the authors, crafters, and manufacturers of our future, and we define our destiny. I need to say to all other fellow comrades with me here, please, let's wait for this thing, and we shall achieve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, comrades from the media. My apology for coming in late. It was because of some turbulences that we then encountered in the morning, which in a way destabilized how we had originally planned this briefing. Nevertheless, I'm happy that I've made it, and I'm happy that we have made our statement known to the public. As the MDC Youth Assembly, and largely, or at large, the MDC party, we have always been clear and very clear in our support and commitment to any initiatives that try to bring peace, coexistence, tolerance, and of course in that regard, non-violence. That is our pledge, and even now I reaffirm the same. We are coming from a background where we have had contested elections. And I'm happy to say at this juncture that as the youth formations of the various political players including the ruling party ZANU-PF, we have an agreement, and we agreed that this time around we want an election whose outcome will not be contested, an election whoever wins will win and will be confident about it, and an election in which whoever loses will be happy to congratulate whoever would have won. But we are saying we need a platform that is fair, and we want the fairness to be in word and in practice. We want it to be in existence, which is why we have come together to try and set up some conditions. And further to that, we need to make sure that we create that environment. As young people of Zimbabwe, we are very clear it's about time that we find one another, because we need one another regardless of political affiliation.